Hello and welcome to The Pulse. What do tourists want? A self-proclaimed shopping paradise? An equally self-proclaimed Asia's world city? Natural wonders? Or maybe a little bit of cultural heritage? Or maybe not, as the Hong Kong government seems increasingly careless over heritage preservation. The country parks are under threat of property development, and you'll need to look hard in the cracks between the high rises to find any material reminders of Hong Kong's cultural history. Despite that, the Tourism Board is inviting visitors to visit Old Town Central. Really? Where? More on that in part 2. But first, our public hospitals are severely stretched. Lawmakers and watchdogs have long criticised the government for prioritising spending on infrastructure and capital projects over healthcare. The public health sector is short of staff and sinking due to overcrowding. The average consultation time for a public doctor's appointment is now down to 6 minutes, and patient concern groups are saying that the recent high-profile medical blunder in the treatment of liver patient Tang Kwai-sze reveals just the tip of the iceberg.
喺呢度，我謹代表聯合醫院，為到我哋未有發覺病人乙型肝炎嘅病歷，同埋未有考慮到去處方預防性嘅抗病毒藥物，向病人同埋家屬鄭重致歉，同埋致最深切嘅慰問。
不如我俾翻100句道歉佢俾翻一個健康嘅媽咪，我會好啲。
43-year-old Tang Kwai-sze is fighting for her life in Queen Mary Hospital with a fungal infection in her lungs. Last month, as her own liver was failing, she received 2 liver transplants. The first was unsuccessful. On Tuesday, the United Christian Hospital announced to the public that 2 specialist doctors at the hospital had prescribed Tang with steroids in January to fight her pre-existing kidney disease. However, steroids increase the chance of liver inflammation. As a carrier of the hepatitis B virus, Tang should also have received antiviral medications. This omission likely led to her initial liver failure.
如果當初我19號冇上到去問佢哋嘅時候，佢會唔會諗住幾時同我講，定係會唔會真係同我講？我覺得好失望嘅就係呢樣嘢。
The Secretary for Food and Health Kwok says he considers Tang's case a serious medical incident. Under the hospital authority's advanced incident reporting system, launched in 2006, hospital clusters are required to report any so-called medical sentinel events within 24 hours for quick response and to minimize the chance of harm to the patients. But it took 33 days for the United Christian Hospital, which discovered the missing prescription on 6th April, to announce this medical blunder.
I think it's not good enough talking about protecting the interests of patients, because it's always up to the headquarters, the hospital authorities' headquarters, to decide whether such a medical incident should be reported to the public. There has to be some revolution in the system that the public would have more opportunity in knowing what's happening in the system.
The chief executive of the hospital authority, Len Pak-yin, says he believes there was no intention to cover up the incident. A panel has been set up to investigate the cause of the incident and to review the sentinel and serious untoward event policy.
With me in the studio, a legislator, Dr. Kwok and Chun-ming, president of the Society of Hospital Pharmacists of Hong Kong. Can I come to you first? I understand that the issue with this particular case is not so much the treatment problem as the failure of communication. Is that right?
I think it's a multi-factors causing the incident. It's maybe 80% because of the system and 20% of the human error. I think the healthcare professionals, they do their best to treat or to take care of our patient, including all this, the doctors and nurses and pharmacists. But sometimes because the workload is extremely high, that's why they may be distracted right, by other things. And the number of patients is very, very, very large. So that's why they only spend a few minutes to see the patient. And also for the pharmacist, the same. We dispense the drugs. We don't have time to talk to the patient about, for example, their medication compliance or drug-related problems. So I don't think it's an attitude. It's a system problem.
Let me ask you, Dr. Kwok, what seems to have captured the public's imagination about this, other than the actual failure of treatment, is what's happened to the family of the patient, not being told what's happened?
The victims herself is actually getting the attention of the whole society. People is actually worrying whether she can survive. We're very poor liver function. She's waiting for the donors for the liver. And if even under this situation, the hospital, which is accountable for the incident, is unable to come out to tell us the whole truth to the family and also to the public. That is a whole thing which we cannot accept. Because in the hospital authority, they have a notification system that of all those very severe major incidents, which this is actually included by all standards, they should report to the headquarters within 24 hours. This is a must.
Do you hear increasing reports that they say, look, we're under so much pressure that we're finding it hard to do our job? I mean, is that overstating the case?
Day to day, every day our pharmacists, talking about pharmacists or hospital pharmacists, they work very hard because one pharmacist actually have to take care of over 400 patients per day. I'm talking about the specialist outpatient clinic, like 1 to 400 patients. So this is a huge ratio, right? We can't exercise our professional, right? We can't exercise our expertise to find out the drug-related problem. So that's why we just dispense drugs to the patient. And the patient asks questions. We just give them a very simple answer. We can't dig into the detail. People want to go to the public sector for treatment and for the drugs. Because the drug is very cheap in public sector, because we charge only 10 Hong Kong dollar for 16 weeks supply of the drugs. But nobody take care of the medication compliance, whether they have side effect developed after after they collect the medication.
What do you think should happen now? Should there be a bigger investigation or what?
Of course, they set up 2 investigation panel. One is for the root cause analysis panel to see the reason why this medication incident occurred. The other panel is to look at the whole reporting system, incident reporting system, because this kind of reporting system we use for more than 10 years. This is a good time to review whether the timing or the reporting time is appropriate. I agree that within 24 hours for reporting the sentinel event and also the serious incident, I think is appropriate. But the thing is, the communication between hospital and hospital is the main, the main trunk we have to look at, because we have day-to-day transfer patient from one hospital to another hospital. So the receiving hospital may find out some, incident. Whether they have the responsibility to report the medication incident, or the mother hospital report. This is the area we should look at.
But whatever the situation, the crux of the matter is they should report, and they should tell the relative the truth.
But do you have confidence that the inquiries that Mr. Chiu is talking about will result in things changing?
It's actually up to who is going to investigate and who is in charge of that. Because if you really look into the matter, on the prescription side, on whether the doctor's making mistake, yes, we can dig out a lot of different backgrounds and perhaps things to improve. But on the reporting of this particular patient, the requirements is so simple. It will be the duty of the doctors, which is a very experienced executive in the hospital. And secondly is the chief executive, Dr. Leung. Dr. Leung himself is the one who invented this reporting system 10 years ago.
The chief executive of the hospital
Dr. P.Y.
authority.
Leung. Yeah, he's actually in charge of this quality assurance and reporting system while he was not at this position. And he himself is actually not working according to its own guideline. You tell me why. So that is something very fishy, and in fact, the end of the result is people losing the confidence, not only on a particular incident, because they are losing confidence on the whole public health care. And actually, this is unfair to a lot of people working in hospital. They work very hard for that. But now comes, because of the handling of this incident is poor by the hospital chief executive of the United Christian Hospital and also of the headquarters, they make life difficult for all the frontline staff. And that is something we should look into. And that is something you cannot rely on an investigatory committee. If you look into any organization, you know, hospital authority, you know, I follow the whole organization before it was set up. You know my history. So we are actually very, you know, we are very eager to make the organization accountable to the public. And if you look into the performance throughout the years, particularly in these 2 years, it's getting, the standard is actually lowering. It's not only the resources, but the people actually in charge of the whole admin system. That is something my worry.
Well, that's very worrying, but unfortunately we're out of time. Thank you both very much indeed. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. Hong Kong is a boring small island, unattractive and lacking a free soul. Well, don't blame me. Those aren't my words. They belong to the mayor of Taipei, Ko-Wing-jie. But what do we offer tourists apart from shopping or the charms of Ocean Park and the world's smallest Disneyland? Despite what Mayor Ko says, Hong Kong does have a fascinating and colourful history and a melange of cultures. But evidence of that disappears by the day. These days, international movie crews come here to film futuristic backdrops, not history. And yet, hope springs eternal. In the midst of the glazed high-rises and shopping malls, the Tourism Board is inviting visitors to go on a hunt for Old Town Central. They'd better hurry.
What do I like about Hong Kong?
1 minute, I'm around huge buildings. Then the next, it's traditional Hong Kong.
Walk Around Old Town Central invites a $7.4 million promotion campaign launched by the Hong Kong Tourism Board 3 weeks ago. To which many local residents and campaigners reply, where? There's less and less of it left. For them, there's more truth in the slogan below the title, Where Worlds Collide. Where worlds collide in Central and Western, the old is destroyed by the new, particularly, it seems, if the Urban Renewal Authority is involved.
我有啲唔知係咪同一個地方。我覺得呢個有啲似嗰啲好似 Disney 或者 Ocean Park 裏邊嗰啲起咗嗰啲假嘅屋，即係唔會覺得係同一個地方。
According to the Antiquities and Monuments Office, there are 42 historical buildings and 22 declared monuments in the Central and Western districts. Yes, it is a historical center of Hong Kong, but you would have little reason to think so from how much of it is preserved. And there is, anyway, more to preserving the character of neighborhoods than preserving individual monuments. Katie Law, the convener of the Central and Western Concern Group, took the tour last Saturday, based on the Old Town Central walking guidebook, and compared the promotion material to the reality. First stop, Central Market.
嗱，你哋知道呢個係一個街市嚟嘅，你估唔估到其實呢一個建築物係幾時起嘅？幾時起？100年前又未有咁耐住，咁但係佢咧都係好耐歷史啊！其實係1939年係戰前嘅建築嚟嘅。佢起好嘅時候咧係一個非常之新穎嘅街市嚟嘅，鋼筋水泥嘅建築啦，現代主義嘅建築嚇。咁呢個街市咧，去到10幾年前咧，其實已經係閂咗，咁一路就係咁嘅狀態維持咗10幾年。最初咧，政府其實係想直情拆咗佢，愛嚟起商廈。咁去到大概2009-10嘅時候咧，政府就決定保留佢，因為佢係一個嘅歷史建築啦，亦都係好罕有嘅Bauhaus嘅建築啦。咁 保留咗之後咧，佢就交咗俾市區重建局咧係去保育嘅 suppose。係到今年佢終於決定，即係政府已經批地俾佢，咁可能係年底開工。
At the end of March, the government announced that $600 million is earmarked for a preservation project here. The Urban Renewal Authority, or URA, is the agency responsible for its construction and operation. The government says public space must be provided, and the authority should ensure future tenants will offer affordable services to the public. The Central Market Concern Group argues the authority should also maintain the defining elements of the building both inside and out. The URA says it has to consider that the function of a market today is very different from that of 80 years ago.
We have made reference to, I'm sure everyone heard about the very successful Borough Market in London. It's a modernized market, but it still operates as a market. This is what we intend to do for Central Market.
Unfortunately, so far, what we heard from the URA, internally they have to dismantle quite a large number of those very valuable terrazzo finishes benches, which I think it totally violates the ICOMO's principle.
Also under threat are these remaining structures from 10 old tenement houses or tonglaos, which the concern group says have historical value. The URA plans to redevelop the site into an open space and walking area for surrounding residential and commercial use, and to dismantle the structures and reassemble them with salvage bricks on the original site, but in a smaller area.
呢個街市未開始重建之前咧，呢度下邊係有一間好靚嘅雜貨鋪叫永和嘅，大家有冇聽過？
Graham Street Market is another highlight in the Tourism Board's Old Town Central booklet. Although it's been operating for more than a century and a half, under URA redevelopment, the tenement buildings have been razed and many shops and stores forced to close down, while a small number of others were allowed to move to new facilities at higher rents. And what the government calls renewal hasn't stopped there. Just a few minutes walk away, the URA has submitted plans to demolish a group of old buildings at 88 to 90 Staunton Street and Sheng Wong Street, otherwise known as Site H19. The Central and Western Concern Group has launched an online petition against the redevelopment.
今次市建局嘅申請咧，就係話打破咗佢之前嘅承諾，佢唔再肯保育88至90號士丹頓街，亦都頭先講過13層高嘅呢一個嘅喺前邊嘅一個中低密度嘅樓咧，佢要大增嗰個發展密度去到21層。咁可以睇到咧，就係話佢係決定咧係拆晒呢度所有喺重建區裏邊所有嘅唐樓。
We would like to provide a stepped development, stepping from the 89 to 90 Staunton Street all the way up to Kane Road. We had prepared this amended MOP, taking into account the condition of the building is not really worth preserving because a lot of the structure are not very, I would say, sustainable.
I think they're an important part of the heritage of these old districts, and building materials are building materials. If this in form of a tonglao or in form of another building, it's all mostly here reinforced concrete. So if you want to maintain it, there are ways to maintain it, and there are other steps than modern construction, so they may be a little bit more complicated because mostly they don't really know how to treat those buildings. So if they don't know about it, it may be a little bit more expensive because they first have to find someone to consult them, but you don't have to knock them down.
咁我相信其實呢一度係本身都曾經講過係會做保育啦，附近有一啲可能孫中山嘅紀念館啦、永利樓啊，甚至乎下邊其實佢哋都會活化咗個 PMQ， 都係想保留一啲舊式建築物 亦都會有一個街市，亦都會重建活化，但係唔明點解喺中間就會起兩棟咁樣嘅豪宅或者係商場嘅地方，咁就真係好奇怪啦。
There have been plenty of ups and downs in world politics this week. For now, France has said no to isolationism and racism and elected the centrist former banker Emmanuel Macron as president. South Korea's new president is a left-leaning liberal human rights lawyer, Moon Jae-in. Meanwhile, things continue to spiral downwards in the United States as President Trump fired the FBI director, James Comey, the man investigating his campaign for ties to Russia, and he did so partly on the advice of Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who'd had to recluse himself from that same investigation due to a conflict of interest. Outrage has followed as the White House struggles to get its story straight, something we have less problem with at the Pulse. So in that spirit, we'll see you next week. Goodbye.